Does athletic involvement and race affect self-confidence? Morgan Connor, Adolescent Psychology, North Carolina Central University. Introduction. In reference to the Black adolescent, familial upbringing can play a large role. Boykin and Toms make sense of how Black adolescents' decisions are influenced by their family throughout aspects such as character development, family dynamic, limitations, and judgment of what is considered normal, and a tether to West African culture regardless of if it is acknowledged or not. These aspects are shown in 9 different points and stem from how African descent is presented as an American. It will highlight how those children who participate in Black sports teams throughout childhood will develop a positive self-identity. Movement is the expression of love, excitement, history, and pain through the body. Some people talk with their hands when they communicate strong emotions because it helps them further convey their thoughts. While some people do not use words at all, they use the movements of their bodies to get their points across. In the African country of Senegalese, dances like Sabar are a large part of the culture. Though many African Americans may not realize it, movements from that culture have reincarnated themselves in the movements of popular dances that form the African American culture today. The movement of dance and sports can be likened. Instead of the rhythm of song and dance, sports focuses on the rhythm of the game. The choreography is the game plan, the song is the crowd, and most importantly, the beat of the music is in the heart and the head. As the movements flow, the motivation will show in the animation of the dancer, or rather, the player. Many of today's adolescents grew up watching Black people set the standards of excellence in their field of interest and then turn around and break that glass ceiling again. This is why you may hear a lot about the late and influential Kobe Bryant. He, along with many others, can contribute to the reason why we hear about the hoop dreams phenomenon in reference to the Black male and their infatuation with basketball. Research question. Do children who participate in Black sports teams throughout childhood develop a positive self-identity? Method. An interview guide was prepared by the student researcher with the assistance of the instructor. In order to investigate the hypothesis, a qualitative interview was conducted. The criteria that was used to pick a participant in the interview was based on age, 13 to 19, having had participation in sports during childhood, and being African American. The selected participant is from Atlanta, Georgia, and had been involved in sports for a 4-year period of time. The interview was conducted by Morgan Connor in a face-to-face manner in a 30-minute semi-structured interview that was tape recorded on March 21, 2020. The participant and his mother were given a consent form to sign because he was only 13 at the time of the interview. The interview took place in Michael's grandmother's home to ensure privacy and comfort. Results. Black culture. According to West, Black people are shown to be the blueprint for much of postmodern culture, the music, the dance, and the athleticism. So, when Black people show a love for these things, originally it was to deploy weapons of kinetic orality, passionate physicality, and combative spirituality to survive and dream of freedom. But when we see Black athletes set the pace for change as far back as Jesse Jackson or more recent like Colin Kaepernick, they use their platforms for good and make athletics even more prominent in the Black community than it already is. Questions from the interview. Morgan, do you live in a neighborhood with mostly Black people? Michael, oh yeah. Morgan, okay, what about the weekend? What's your routine on a typical Saturday or Sunday? Michael, wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face, play my game, and yeah, probably after a couple hours I go outside. play basketball or football. Yeah. Relationships. Motivation is from both within oneself and from those around them as well. It was obvious that intrinsic motivation is rudimentary in order to follow through with the athletic involvement. However, extrinsic motivation is important as well when there is self-doubt. These peers and teammates provide that support to one another when things are not doing all too well. Michael said that being with his teammates makes him feel like he is a role model to them. They support him in his endeavors, and even when they argue with one another, it is for the team's betterment. This motivation to be a part of this team likely makes Michael a better student as well, showing that his work ethic is both on and off of the field. When he talked about what the coaches think of him, it was almost as if he was bragging on himself through his speech. Morgan: Okay, and have they ever provided you support? Michael: Yes. Morgan: Can you give an example? Michael: Because I was the quarterback for my team, well, they were voting on who should be the quarterback of my team. And then it was like 4 of us. And then they picked me and they said, well, I forgot what my coach said. And they were supporting me on whatever he said. I forgot. Morgan: And how do your coaches treat you? Michael: With respect. We treated each other the same way we wanted to be treated. Morgan: Okay, and did you like that? Michael: Yes. Morgan: Okay, and did it make you feel good? Michael: Mm-hmm. Michael's participation in sports have influenced him more than he realized. His academic, social, and professional lives are all influenced by the sports he plays. In our interview, when asked about his plans for the future, he said, I want to be either in the NBA or NFL, and if sports don't work, I want to be a psychologist. He, as well as those around him, can say a lot about his temperament and dynamic character, but can conclude that he is a good person and student. When I asked him about it, he seemed to genuinely attempt to answer these questions like he thought about it instead of it coming off of his tongue in the moment. Along with his strengths and weaknesses, it can be said that Michael sees he has space to grow but is confident in himself and his future successes. Discussion. Michael's demeanor expressed humility in answering these questions. However, he was steadily confident of himself and his capability to become successful. Morgan: Do you think you're a good person? Michael: Yes. Well, I'm not perfect, but yeah. Morgan: Okay, how do you think others would describe you? Michael: Friendly, caring, and yeah. Morgan: So if you were to ask your friends about you, what would you say? Michael: The same thing that I said. Michael: The same thing that I said. Wait, hold up. The same thing that I said. Michael: The same thing that I said. Wait, hold up. The same thing that I'm caring, a good friend, friendly, and I get mad fast. Morgan: Do you agree with their views of you? Yes. Michael: Yes. Morgan: In what ways will you become successful? Work, school, community? Michael: All. My hypothesis for this research was that once I talk to Michael, he will provide information to conclude that playing sports has a positive contribution to his self-identity. Contributing factors to this were social acceptance, family support, and consistent positive affirmations, all of which Michael expressed on some level within our interview, but also that his sports participation was inversely beneficial. His self-confidence and determination were primitive to his consistency in sports and vice versa. Therefore, it is plausible to say that Michael has a positive self-identity and could result from his participation in athletics. These are some references I used throughout my paper as well as this PowerPoint. And thank you for viewing. For any further questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact me via email at mconnor4@eagles.nccu.edu. Again, thank you.